Happy 4/4/24 only is 4/24/24. So when we opened this month to the 4/4 portal in 24, this is another gateway that segments into the new beginning, the new version of ourselves, and the reinvention that's taking place in the process. So I want to just kind of recap because today I'm coming to you talking to you about how to master change. And change is the only constant that we have any control over as far as how we manage it. It's the only thing that we can guarantee is change is going to always take place because everything we attach to, everything we hang on to is always going to change. So there's nothing we can predict about that fully because the only thing we can control is how we navigate our journey. So, with that being said, today we're going to talk about some strategies, techniques, and ways to manage change. And I shouldn't say manage it, I should say master it because we're in a time frame of mastering our true selves. And if you missed my series of 30 Days of Transformation, go to my YouTube channel at Twin Flame Expert. And on the live section, you will find a playlist, or even in the playlist section, you'll find a playlist that's 30 Days of Transformation, a journey to your true self. So, what I want to kind of recap on, because I actually kind of started this reinvention series last week, and I'm trying to get back on my Thursdays of doing my normal videos and doing them live. Well, we happen to have land journeys all this week, starting today through Saturday. So, that's part of my change is coming here to be my real authentic self, still show up for you, try to be as consistent as I can be, but most importantly, the consistency in that I show up when I can. Okay, so it's not about being this segmented time frame anymore or having all the perfect edits anymore. It's really about how can I authentically show up and share and stay consistent with in some mode, some method of a weekly time frame, right? If I keep waiting to get the time to make an edit and plan out the certain time, it's not going to happen. So this is how kind of part of what I'm saying. We're growing into this place of flow, freedom, flexibility, and most importantly, fun and having fun doing it. So I have to say, giving yourself the permission to have this kind of flexibility and freedom without all these segmented time frames and constructs, it makes it much more doable. And most of the things that we put on ourselves and all of this that prevents us from change is the fact that we think it has to be done a certain way, or we think things have to go a certain way. But when we can get out of the way and we can learn to allow things to unfold in a newer place, a bigger place, it becomes even bolder and brighter. And then we enjoy it more. So one of the things I was going to say, though, as we go across this journey that I did in the 30 Days of Transformation and the rebirth idea, this portal of 4/4 leading into 4/24/24 today is all about a pivotal point in our rebirth. And we're coming out the side of this moon, the eclipse we had here in April on the 8th. And then we had yesterday we had a full moon in Scorpio, which dives deeper into the shadows, dives deeper into the emotions. It helps bring up what isn't going forward. Now, how you navigate that now is in your new strategies, your new techniques, your new version of you that now is reinventing new ways to handle things, do things, and go about things. So for me, one of the things I like to focus on, especially now, is forward focus on who are you becoming and who do you want to be? How can you create and co-create the life that you desire and deserve? Out of collectively, we no longer have to focus on those things of the past. And if we do, we're only creating more of it. So rather than putting your intention and attention to think you have to clean up something or to clear up something, and that's not going to say it's not going to come up. but you don't have to dive for it. You don't have to dig for it. Allow it to come through. When it comes through in this reinvention of yourself, then look at, how can I handle this now? What is this teaching me now from this place where I'm at? And what I'm finding in myself in that is that the things that might be showing up that could look like they're from the past, it's literally an opportunity to look at the highest version of me, and really from an observer, not from a place of judgment, but from an observer, to be like, okay, does this like represent who I am becoming? And then that gives you an opportunity to really let go of some things that you thought you might have wanted a certain way, or you might have wanted to do. And that doesn't mean being a co-creator, you can't, put your intentions out there, your attention and what you desire, and set some goals. And most importantly, even get clear on that, but leaving room through the change of it for what you even want to change. I'm gonna give you an example of this for me. Okay. And this will be my example for you today. So moving here to Sedona was about leaving Egypt and all the heavy things and all the negative things, and coming into the promised land of milk and honey. And that being a place of heaven on earth, and ease and grace and flow, and things I desired and loved, and most importantly, deserved. So I had lived in a furnished place for 8 years, because when I left my home and a relationship, when I started this twin flame journey, I moved into a condo that was fully furnished, lived there for over 8 years. And in that process, I didn't own much. I had very little physical property of anything. And it felt very good, to the point when coming to Sedona, then it called for getting things. It called for anchoring things in. It called for, different things that needed to be had to furnish a home that I had not had for like years at that point. So in the process of that, there was a couple big things that stand out to me. Number one, there was this armoire that I thought would look really cool, and I really was, attracted to it. And then I thought, well, it's going to be a big deal. It calls for a truck. It calls for being able to have somebody help move it, and all kinds of things. And I'm living on a second floor. And then this guy reaches back out to me and he says, I really want you to have this. He goes, I'm even going to drop the price, and here's how you can, ways you can get it. So I ended up going, okay, let me check this out. So I contacted mover companies and all these different things. So found someone that was reasonable, that make it reasonable for the price he dropped it to. Otherwise, it wasn't worth it, because it was a marketplace. So anyway, then basically they came to bring it in, and it was a big deal. Even with movers, they almost never got this thing up there. And by the time it got up here and got in its place, I couldn't breathe. And because I wasn't used to having anything to anchor me, nothing heavy, nothing to had to be handled or dealt with, that called for things that were kind of out of my control a little bit, And then I started picking up on the energy of it, and I could feel all this energy from this woman that had it, and just all these different things. And she had been going through some health issues, and I was feeling all this stuff, being an empath and picking it up from the furniture. Well, I had to go into a breathing session because I was about to hyperventilate, because this thing made me feel like I could just needed to rewind everything. And the funny thing is, the whole trail to get through this process that day, it took me on this trail of getting lost, people calling me, coordinating all these things, sliding down a hill, backing my SUV into like a rock that ended up knocking out, making a dent, scratches, and knocking out a reflector on the back. And so point is, it was a lot of change for me, like all at once. And you wouldn't think it'd be that much change just having and owning a piece of furniture. But that was the reflection of my life anchoring into physical form again. It was a reflection of, now we're to be having land here. We're to be having a retreat center here in Sedona, and like all these different things. Well, that's going to call for a lot of anchoring, a lot of stuff, a lot of responsibility. And, things change. And we have to like grow with that and go with that. I never saw myself like having things like that again. I thought I would just be like roaming around the world in Airbnbs and not owning anything, but that's not what the plan was for the next calling, to anchor in and to live in Sedona and have a home base and a hub for the work that wants to birth through our work, Jeremiah and I's work here in Sedona. And the other thing I want to share with you about the change that we go through, that really stands out to me. Well, and I have to see, because I got so lost in that little story and went way off the deep end in it that I forgot the other one that I was going to share with you. And it would probably come to me because it was also really good. But being able to, and I'm just going to kind of keep going for now, but to be able to stay committed to our learning process in this journey and not get too caught up on the details. Because if you're just joining, as I was saying, and this whole topic is about mastering the change and how can we effectively change through our reinvention of our new selves and a higher self, rather than be stuck on the total rebirthing process of still being in that cocoon. So for me, moving to Sedona was also about coming out of the cocoon. It was about being the butterfly. It was about coming out and socializing. It's about creating community. And, and that's what's happening. So even, where I had been in chiropractic practice and working with people in person, and then I went to work with people online for 8 years and had no physical connection with people. It was all online. And then to come here and hey, Karen, I love you too. I miss you. To come here to Sedona and to be working with people again in person. Like I was just saying, if you missed it, like we're doing land journeys starting today through Saturday with groups of people, anywhere from 2 to 11 people that we're going to be working with every day this week. So that is change. That is coming out of the cocoon. So part of the rebirth now in this change is we're exiting the cocoon. And we can fight that. It's kind of like giving birth and the rebirth. The baby wants to stay in. It's not uncomfortable to come out into the cold and wet and bright, right? That's what we're doing. We're birthing. And the thing about it is, with the whole butterfly concept, if you help a butterfly out of the cocoon, it can't fly. Its wings won't work. It's part of that exiting that cocoon that takes off all of the gunk, the goo, that helps the wings dry to the place where they can spread their wings and fly. And that's where a lot of times on this journey, we want to help people, and we want for people what we have or what we found in our journey or in ourselves or in our process. And the problem with that is when we take those things on for other people, then they're not exiting the cocoon for themselves, and they don't have the same ability to receive the same journey. And keep in mind, your journey is different than someone else's journey. What you go through, what you need for your solutions and for your resolution may be different than someone else. They may not need the same thing you do. And most importantly, they need to go through whatever they need to do for themselves. So sometimes letting go of people and things that they need, you're taking on for them, is part of the change you need to do to get back to yourself and to be able to master your own ability to grow forward and grow through the process. And I just want to recap for a second, because I feel like and summarize, because I feel like I've kind of covered the basis. But today we're talking about mastering our ability for change. And change is the only constant. And here's another thing I want to say about that. There's no direct path to, no matter what it is we're desiring, or our intentions, our creation, or our journey, or our evolution of our soul. There's no one path. There is a path that, takes us off the roadways to experience, like if you're going talk about the road to Hana in Hawaii. It's 66 miles and or wait, it's well 60 miles on the way out and back, I think, or actually there's 60 miles one way down from Maui through the road to Hana. But there's 66 one-lane bridges and the whole road snakes that literally meet yourself backwards through a combination of a hillside that you look down on part of it and you're down by the ocean right below you. Now, if you think about being on a main highway, the main highway is easy. You stop and go. You keep moving, maybe, if there's no traffic. But unless you take the scenic route, you miss some of the beauty and the journey, right? So how many of you, when you travel, just want to get there? You're like, I'm on a mission. I just want to get there. And how many of you enjoy the journey? How many of you stop along the way? How many of you take the road to Hana that is like off the beaten path that takes you on all kinds of hills, turns, one-lane bridges that could be, all these things could be like frightening in some ways, if you're scared of heights or water or, curves and things like that. And it forces you to slow down. But, I like to take the convertible down there because then you get the best view. And, I got to tell you, what people don't realize, how many people actually die from a coconut hitting them in the head. You can look it up, and I don't remember the statistics. But I know that there's some interesting statistics about, you have more of a chance of, even getting dying by getting hit by a coconut in the head than some other things that you might think that would be an issue in life. But anyway, I'm just kind of rambling there, but I just wanted to share with y'all this week about the idea of change as we go through the portal, and that we're leaving the cocoon and we're now coming through that rebirthing process, and now we're reinventing. Now we're looking at, okay, where do we want to fly to? Are we going to practice our wings and we're going to jump off the tree? Are we going to jump off the flower? Are we going to stop and, enjoy the nectar in the flowers? And one of the things that in that process, and this is a little bit about what I was going to say a while ago in my journey, but I don't remember the exact story I was going to tell you, but the idea of it was that as I'm going through this journey and this process and this reinvention, I'm really looking at some of the things that I want to start, or I want to do, or I want to expand on. And part of the thing that I'm surrendering to in that is that I'm going to finish some things I've started before I start something new. And not that I didn't already start some things new. The new things have came in super quickly. But before I fully jump into certain things that are going to really take some time, I am going to finish what I've started. And that's what I've been working on. I've been going back through everything that didn't get finished yet to finish it. And then using the time I have to stay super balanced, focus on myself, focus on my fitness. And for me, it's fitness and finances, and being able to be at a place of much more flexibility and freedom in a sense of community, not being stuck so much behind the desk all day long like I used to be, which is why I'm loving going out into the vortexes and doing healing work and helping people transform and life-changing transformation out into the land journeys. That being said, even though I am, doing more of land journeys or communication, or I guess I should say connection or retreats or in-person connection again, I do still offer my clarity sessions or healing sessions too. But if you're in need of getting clear on what it is you need to master and get through this change and help reinvent yourself, that's one of the things I want to focus on with people now, is helping them reinvent that version of themselves from a place of who they are now and who they're going to be. In the past, I've helped people clean up a lot of stuff, and I've helped people clear a lot of karma, and I've helped people reprogram patterns. And that's not to say you don't have to reprogram the patterns in reinventing yourself, but that's the biggest thing you need now. Like now it's more about the reinvention is more about just implementing the new patterns and programs and belief systems and thoughts, emotions and feelings and actions towards the new version of ourselves. Not so much like, again, like what's wrong with me? Why am I doing this again? What do I got to see again? What I got to learn again? Change your focus forward and be like, okay, what do I want now? How do I want to navigate this now? And most importantly, do it with fulfillment, with a sense of feeling free and peace and inner joy. Because when you can operate from those frequencies and vibrations, you're the embodiment of living consciously and being conscious, not just striving to get somewhere, that it already is. And that's a huge point in this whole journey. Everything you're striving for already exists. And you're just now coming into the place of living it in your truth and in your daily life and in your daily path and walk without trying to look at it as being separate, that I got to fix something before I can be there and do that, you know? And I want to tell you something I said to a client this week, and I'm going to close out. Or actually, I guess it was this week. I forgot what day it is. I never know what day it is. I was all day yesterday. I kept saying, I think it's Friday. He wanted to basically think that, before he could be a coach, that they needed more training in being a coach. And basically, there was a lot that was said and went through. But the point was, I said, well, you can get all the training you want. You can get all the certifications you want. But you're still not going to feel confident in it until you do it. The only way you're going to feel confident in it is when you show up and do it. So that's why I always teach you don't get it together and do it. You get it together only when and while you're doing it. So if you keep waiting to get it right, you're never going to get it right. Show up and just be yourself, and you will learn what you need to do as you follow through. And, it's kind of like that fake it till you make it. And a lot of people get that imposter syndrome and all these things that is, not putting themselves in a place of worth. But the thing is, you show up doing your best, feeling your best, and you're on your way to reinventing yourself. And it's going to help you navigate and master the change that you have to go through to accomplish being your truest, best, magnificent self and mastering who it is you're becoming. Okay. So I send you guys loads and loads of love. I'm going to be, coming weekly. And right now what's coming through is to talk about, ways that and strategies that you can master yourself. And I guess I do want to leave you with a little tip, and I don't even know what it is. So I'm just going to feel that out for a second. So I'm hearing the words, follow your heart. So in this journey, when it can get super confusing, especially in the discernment of is it right or wrong, and know that first of all, whatever path you choose and whatever direction you take you can't screw it up. You can't screw up destiny. You're going to, in one aspect, you might have a fear that moves you in a direction to take a certain action, but underneath of that, taking that action is going to bring up the experiences you need to clear the fear. And then from there, it's like, okay, you begin to trust your intuition. You begin to open up. You begin to follow your intuition. But where I was going with this is, in that process, most importantly, follow your heart. What makes you feel good? What makes you feel fulfilled? As I mentioned, what makes you feel peace? And the thing about that is it can get tricky, because when you're mastering yourself and this journey, it's a fine line between the two sides of the polarity within yourself of that. And so sometimes that means you can be finding fulfillment and peace because it actually is bringing that to you from a place of going to fill you up. And sometimes that peace could be that you're running from what it is you need to face, moving in that direction, because growth and change is not comfortable. And if you're feeling too comfortable for too long, then you're not growing, and therefore you're not changing. And so it's about how you can navigate between your resistance and your surrender to the process of that. And so I send you guys loads of love. That's follow your heart. That's your tip. When you're not sure, pause and follow your heart. And then for every step, you take. Just feel it out and go through your feelings kind of blinded. Like, don't try to rationalize too much from your head. Your head can block you, and the analysis can create paralysis, and that can be good to merge the two. But don't let your head get in the way at first. Bring your mind back into it when you get in alignment with your heart. Okay. All right. So love you guys loads. I'll be back next week, and make sure to like, comment, share the shine. Make sure to, subscribe even on my YouTube channel at Twin Flame Expert. Hit the notification bell. Whenever I do come live. I'm going to get off here now. I got a session with a client, and then a couple clients coming. We're doing a land journey this afternoon. And so I just wanted to get on here before all of that started. And you guys have an amazing rest of your day, night, evening, and I'll see you next time. Loads of love.